Torah or Vayishlach Peish Chaf Hey, first column, top of the page. Mamish top line of the page. Okay, Yaakov Avinu wanted to bring Teo down to Tikkun with to Esav, but Esav wasn't ready yet, so Yaakov said, okay, I got to do it myself. So what did he do? He divided everything into two camps, because Teo is not three, Teo is two, right and left, and there's no unity between the two. And like he explains that when you have number three, so then you can make a decision between 1 and 2. So like this, 1 is 1 and 2 is 2, you can make a decision. And he says that's why he brought the korbanos from treifa animals, because that's in the world of Tehu, and also they weren't shechted, because the only carbon that wasn't shechted is the azazel that was thrown off the cliff, and that's the same because that's from a loftier level, and therefore that's what he did, okay, to bring down Tehu himself. And that's why he brought the Izim Asayim. Okay, so top of the page of Chafei. Because the whole purpose of the Mayim Nukvim, which again is Kabbalistic for Sedusa de L'Sato, the awakening from below, which is the gift of Yaakov, was Laham Shechmad, was to bring down the Mayim Tchudim, the masculine waters, meaning the revelation from above, from the level of Makav Teil Mateyu. V'aman v'amad Eil Mateyu. And therefore, the Aveda Milmata Lamaila and Aveda Milmaila Lamata of Tehu, it's a different world over there, is Meshuna Ba'efanach, is different and completely strange, so to speak. Min Amad Umad Ilmatikun, which is the level of Karbanis Shabbatayda. There's biblical Karbanis. Torah is the world of Tikkun. So therefore, the Karbanis of Torah are Tikkun Karbanis. Therefore, they have to be kosher, they have to be shechted, they have to be all those things. Shatayda comes in the Elam HaTikun of Atzilus. Hainu ki Elam HaTikun is Or Pnimi. Like you said before, Tehu is Eres Merubim V'Kelum Moatim. A lot of light, no vessels. So very little vessels. So therefore, it was all superficial. Tikun is Kelum Rechavim, broad vessels, so to speak, so it was able to handle the revelation. Sha'er is Nitzamsim and Nitzvazim B'teich HaKeli. U'mi'ach Sha'er Yochel is Yashim B'teich HaKeli. Because now the Or can handle the Keli, the Keli can handle the Or, so to speak. That shows that in Samsim Ha'erbet Sumim Rabim. Because the fact that the Or can come into the Keli means the Keli is able to handle the Or. If the Keli is able to handle the Or, that means the Or was limited. Because it will be an infinite revelation. In a finite vessel, it can't work. Therefore, Torah that comes in the world of Tikkun is very restricted, limited. The mitzvah has to be done this way. The learning has to be done this way. There are guidelines. Like we say, you can learn the Torah 13 ways, 24, whatever it is. But Torah is limited. But Torah say that Allah is mandatikun. Therefore, how does the Torah teach us the awakening from below of tikkun? Torah tells exactly how it has to be done. Like even davening, right? There's a seder. There's a psukadizim and a psukadizim and a birch. Everything is systematic. Shul mishpat ma'aser korbanos. Shahayu mebeim teinim. There had to be kosher animals, and only type of 3 animals itself. You couldn't bring any kosher animal. It had to be. There was shard, izim, tzayin, visher shchut and dafka, and they have to be shechted. So all these korbanos that Yaakov sent to Esav were not kosher, not shechted, not systematic. It was because he wanted to bring down Teil. And because the man, meaning the awakening from below and the awakening from above in Teil was different than Tikkun, so in Tikkun, Yaakov Avinu had to do it one way. But he wants to get Teil from Esav, it's done a different way. The same thing, how you bring the carbon, not only the animal, but there's a whole process. You have to have it. If you do something wrong, the carbon's possible. It's not a kosher carbon. Even if you can have thoughts of pigel or whatever, it invalidates the carbon. There has to be a lot of details, because that's what tikkun is. Tikkun is details. There's an od, there's a keli. The keli is a keli, and the od is limited based on the keli. Everything is systematic. Because the whole Torah is founded in such a way with limitations, because Torah comes in the level of tikkun. Therefore, there's many so normally in Torah, Kabbanis have many halachas, complicated halachas, of how it has to be done. But Yaakov, when he wants to bring down Tehu, he's not dealing with Tikkun. He wants to be Mevared Esav, Mebchinas Mak, the tail which is Argodl, Bechinas Ein Sof, because so infinite that the Keli can't handle it, and therefore it's on the level of Mak. Therefore he sent Av Behemoth to Meis, Gemal and Minikers, the Kulun Oyachayan, they're all alive, and they were not shechted, right? So he sent treif animals, not shechted. Basically, no details here. You can bring any carbon, just send a camel. It's a kosher carbon in the realm of Tehu. Therefore, there's no details. Is so above infinite and finite, he can handle even Tameim and even Chayim. In other words, details can only exist in an organized, systematic world. In a world of chaos, so everything goes. It could be a behemoth Tameya, it could be not shechted, it could be a million details. It doesn't matter.
How did Yaakov bring the one element?
1 second, we're not done yet. Therefore, like the Medrash says, the Medrash says, why is Chazir called Chazir? Why is a pig called pig? Because it's interesting. You know, when you want to speak about treif, you say, it's Chazir treif. Nobody says camel treif. I mean, camels is treif as Chazir. They also have one of the two signs, right? Why don't people always say Chazir? Because it says about, besides the fact it's more common, I mean, but it says, Gabi Chazir sha'asid lachzir v'li tohed. The Gemara and the Medrash say Chazir comes from the word lahachzir. It's going to become kosher.
Only Chazir?
No, because it says la'asid lava she'yavu la'amavis l'netzach, where death will be swallowed, and meaning evil won't exist. Because he is gala atzm saints off ve'yochel gam Chazir la'alis mashenkin ato. Like Dr. Rebbe says in Perek Zayin of Tanya, that right now sholosh kibbutz tameis can never be elevated. Like it says in that, you can take the Chazir, you can make 10 brachas on it, you can go to 10 mikvahs and put on 20 gartels, and you make a bracha on it, and you eat the Chazir, and you eat it L'Shem Shemayim, and with the koyach of Chazir that you ate, you learn in Daven, the Chazir stays Chazir. It can be elevated to Kedush. Why? Because it's Asur. Unless he says a level of tshuva, like Rabbi Elazar ben Dodai, you know, that Aveda becomes mitzvahs, so then you're mahapach Avedas to mitzvah. But like this, it can't be. And that tshuva is a super lofty level of tshuva, not regular, not everyday tshuva. So he says, so then, la'asad lavai, ruach hatumah avim min earth. Why? Because the gilui of tchis ha-mesim, which is primarily what it's talking about, is a gil of atzm saints of, that there's no difference between kosher and treif and ard and kaishach and gvul and bli. Well, there's no difference. It's all the same. What?
The tshuva for the Chazir.
It's not going to be tshuva.
It's not moving forward.
Right. So he says, Yaakov sheshalach mincha le'Esav, which is Allah's man of Makav the Teil, which is Ein Sof, Shalach Gamkin Dvarim Tmeim. He sent kosher animals too, but he also sent treif animals. Lekach Shalach Gamkin Gemalim Minikas. Ki Adarabba Shosham Shal Gemalim is Merid Naila. Again, Gemalim down here are treif. Okay? But in the source, it's super high. Like he says, like it says by Eliezer Eved Avram. Okay, what did he take over there in Chayisor? It says, he took Yud Gemalim, Migmali Adoina, V'chol Tuv Adoina Biyadei. Which is the Inya Kagama Alaime. Okay, so it says, Eliezer took 10 Gemalim, that's the 10 levels of evil. Okay, whatever, in the loftiest of levels, in the source. But then it came down, all the chos, so Yaakov Avinu is able to do that, because he was before Matan Torah. Now the Torah was given, and now we're in the world of Tikkun completely, there's no Torah anymore. From the level of tikkun, and therefore what's tummy in us apitera is meruchik, is distant. You can't bring a carbon from Gamal and Midnikis. Since Rabbi used to tell people it should be Eidis the Teil in Kalim of Tikkun. Never told that to a lot of shluchim.
Very high.
That means what's basically in translated into different language. L'chatchila hibir, like the Rebbe said, the world says you try to go under. You can't go under, you go over. And I say it to l'chatchila hibir. To go under means normally you try to do normal things. If that doesn't work, then you do abnormal things, right? And the Rebbe's Shita was l'chatchila not normal. But you need to have kalim. You can't just do crazy things that have no hold. That even that for a miracle to happen, even for a miracle to happen, it has to be some type of a vessel.
So what's the vessel, Rabbi?
Mesiras Nefesh.
When a Jew uses the power of the Nefesh Ba'am.
What?
A Jew
No.
uses the power of Nefesh Ba'am and brings it down and does mitzvah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what this is?
No, but it's only a mitzvah of kosher things. Nefesh Abamis come from Sklipas Noida of the Jew.
Comes from Torah.
No, it doesn't come from Torah. It comes from the Shmarim Adeifanim, which is very tikkun.
But the power of the Nefesh Ba'am comes down from...
It comes from a higher level of Nefesh Elokis, because the lower it falls, the higher it came. To a certain extent, it says it comes from Tehu, but it's not what he's talking about here, because the Nefesh Abamis comes into the world of Tikkun. So it's not Tehu anymore, it's Tikkun.
That's what we do when we use its power.
But we're not elevating Tehu. In other words, you can have, when you eat food, food comes from Tehu.
Right.
But you can't eat treifa food. Correct? If we're elevating Tehu, what's the difference if it's kosher or not kosher? Because now we're in the realm of Tikkun. And in the world of Tikkun, as long as there's Ruach HaTumah on Ba'aretz, there is Ruach HaTumah, you can't elevate it. Okay, then it says like this, Yaakov Malaylo, he got up that night. He took his two wives and everybody else. And he went Ma'aver Yabik. Okay, so now over there means he went and put him on the other side of the river, and then he stayed alone. Maybe if you got the small jugs, that whole learned the last night at the class. But Yabik, it says in Kabbalah, is Yichud bracha v'kedusha. The word maver yabik, simply there's a very old sefer called maver yabik. It all deals, the whole sefer, it talks about literally maver yabik means the other side of the bridge. Okay, so it talks about after death issues. What happens after death and all that stuff. So the sefer is called maver yabik. But he said, okay, on the other side of the river, it says about Terech, right? Nor is the level of Bina. Why? Like it says, you have a Mayon, where does the river come from? It starts from a well, and then it goes into a river. So Mayon is a level of Chochmah. It's a very limited, and then it becomes a Nor. And then the pasuk says, that means the Avis come from a level higher than Nahor, higher than Bina, which is the level of Kesed, which is L'mayla mi'anor, Rakshasham, Nimshcho Avis, that's where the Avis came from. And then the Avis, the origin of the Neshamas of the Avis come from the other side, higher than Bina. But then it comes down here into Zodat Silus, into Zod. Because Avram is Chesed, Yitzchak is Gevurah, and Yaakov is Tiferes. That's already Midas. Right? So the origin of the Avis is Me'ever HaNor Yashor Seichel Nor is Bina. That means it's the level even higher than Seichel. What's higher than Seichel? Kesed. But then when the Neshama Avis were coming into the Guf, so then it becomes Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes. So what did Yaakov Avinu want? Yaakov Shirot says Sheyamshich le'amakiv de Tehu. Yaakov wanted to bring down this level of Tehu, like we're learning the last who knows how many pages. Shelifnei Atzilis hotzrich mitchila laver senora now. Yaakov Avinu had to go over the other side of the Nor because he had to bring down the koyach of the Avis higher than world to be able to hit into the level of Tehu. What is Maver Yabik? He said is Yichud Bracha Kedusha. That's the level of Yaakov B'chinas Nor now. Shal Yado Nimshchu Kol Hashbois V'Yichud Eretz El Yonim. That is the source of all spiritual revelations. Like it says, Nohar Yitzim Eidon Lashkis Sagan. So at the beginning of creation, right? Nohar Yitzim Eidon Lashkis Sagan. The river came out of Eden to water the, and then it spread into the 4 tributaries. The 4 different. So in Kabbalah Chassidus, there's Eden and there's Nor and there's Hamshach of Nor coming down. Nor goes from one place to the next and moves. So Nor comes down and it gives the Gan, right? It gives the Hashpah to Torah. So that's most Hashpahs of Tikkun come from the level of Nor. But Yaakov Avinu wanted to reach higher than Nor, Be'ever and Nor Yoshua Seichem. So therefore he went across the Nor, Vayaver Sanor. And what did he do? Okay, he said, now that he reached higher than Nor, then he's not that distance from Makif, because he already went across the Nor is Bina. So higher than Nor is Kesser, which is Makif level. The crown's on the head. So then he was closer to the Makifim of Tehu, and that's what it says, Vayaves kol asher loi, Mashatik, on everything that he elevated in Lavan's house, Hela'aker l'sham. So in other words, Yaakov again is doing everything possible to reach the level of Tehu. Okay, so he sends Tehu Korbanos, and then he goes on the other side of the Nahar to tap into the source of the Avis, which is a Kesser Makif level, to be able again get closer to Tehu. And then, 1 minute, he sent everything else But Yaakov sent everybody else to the other side of the river. He stayed on this side of the river, the lower level. Why? Because again, Yaakov thought Esav was refined. That means he undid Shviras HaKelim. He reached the level of tail by itself. Not the level that already tail breaks, so to speak, and comes down here. He wanted to reach the level of tail. So he thought originally that Esav is already refined. So he said, okay, great, let's go for it. I'm Tikkun's ready, Esav. But then he come back and he say Esav's not ready. That means Esav already had Shviras HaKelim. So you can't reach Esav higher than Shviras HaKelim, the world of tail by itself. So, and that's why it says, "Vayavik ish imei kaneda."
Why would he think that Esav is
Because he thought after 22 years, Esav probably did tshuva and he regretted what he did and the whole story and what?
He did hear from his Veinekis that, which propelled him to go back, that he has come down.
No, he heard him in Nekes that Rivka died, that's all he heard.
No. Before he left, Hashem came to him and Hashem said,
Go back.
Go back because your brother has come down a little bit. From his
No, he didn't say that. Where does he say your brother come down?
No?
I don't know. Doesn't say it in the Chumash. What?
Is there a relation between this and the Shemin prayer?
Yeah, there must be. Because to unite Kodesh Baruch Hu to opposites, you have to tap into a level higher.
Is the shaft to Abraham Ivri from the other side of
Yeah.
Only
Abraham
That's why he's called Ivri. Why are the Jews called Hebrews?
Because they're on the other side.
Miyaldei or Ivrim Zen Shmeis. What did they say? They found this baby in the basket, Moshe Rabbeinu, right? He said, Miyaldei ho Ivrim Zen. Because Jews were then called, in today, they're called Hebrews. Why? Because Hebrew is Aver Yardin, and because they came from higher than Tikkun.
are all going Tohu or only Esav? Like is
Esav represents all Goyishkeit.
And if they're all Tohu, they could eat anything, they could do anything.
But now you can't elevate them.
How come their religion is based on Yiddishkeit? If it's all Tohu,
Because they're down here now. They're not in Teo, they're down here.
in order to be able to live in this world, they have to adopt.
Everything comes from Kedusha. Every Chochmah in the world, medicine, science, whatever, comes from the Eibishter's Chochmah, which is Torah. Everything comes from Torah.
So Yaakov had to go across the river to tap into our...
To bring everything, all his stuff over there. All the Bedurim that he did. And he stayed because I got to deal with Esav himself. And that's why Esav fought with, the Malach of Esav fought with him. But
Are there a limited amount? I know there's a limited amount of Jewish neshamot. Is there also a limited amount of neshamot that are not Jewish?
they're not Neshamas, they're Nefesh. I mean,
Nefesh,
it says there's 600,000 times 600,000. That's how many Neshamas there are. It was like 360 billion, something like that. I mean, what?
Why do they agree?
Because he came from Aver Anor. Aver Anor, the other side of the river, so they're called Hebrews.
Is every neshama going to come down when Mashiach comes? All 360?
Yeah. Exactly how. Not only that, the problem is a bunch of neshamas coming down, and the same neshama is going to be split.
The 360 billion Jews have not lived in this world.
I know that.
So
I don't know what's going to happen.
They're going to be
The
born.
Rambam says when it happens, we'll know what happens.
We're going to fit all on earth.
Listen, David can get the dead up, he can figure out a place for them. Don't worry about it.
Water is going to be sweet water. 7 billion is going to be nice.
That's the least of Hashem's problems. Where to find place for everybody. Up, down.
Shy elements. Every person gets shy.
No, but down in the ocean. Half the world is not humanly civilized. Can make whatever. Don't worry about it.
only 2% of the water in the world is sweet.
Okay, so he says now, Lahavan closing Kavanas Yaakov Amshach Samak of the Tehu, to understand what Yaakov wanted. And he says now, V'gam Yuvan Zeb Avedis Hashem. To understand this, what does it mean for us in Avedis Hashem? It's interesting, usually the Alter Rebbe doesn't, the Maimar and the Rebbe always did that. The Alter Rebbe usually doesn't say what's in Aveda. The Alter Rebbe speaks the Haskalah of it, the intellectual part of it. He says in Yedua, the Yaakov B'chinas Teferes. Yaakov Avinu is the level of Teferes. What is Teferes? Like we said, what's the number 3? It binds and connects 1 and 2. Shemachaber Esav Mishem Chesed Gevura. Ki al Yidei, his scholars base Hofim Yachad, because the prime Ikar Teferes, the primary level of Teferes, is the combination of Chesed and Gevura. Because Teferes means beauty. Like it says, K'mei Gavnin, the colors, and art. Shemokavim Beis Gimel Gavnim Yachad, then that's the primary beauty. You can't have ultimate beauty in art with one color. It's different colors blending together in harmony. So what is beauty by definition? The combination of different things together. So v'ezgalus earning to become v'amshoch v'ezgalus earning to become v'amtsoyim means bringing down alukos in the middle line. L'kach rotze gamken l'chabel yachid gamken mamakev deteu u'merpnimi detikum. Says like this. What did Yaakov want? What did Yaakov needs tehu? I mean, like, what's he needed for? Because the whole avoid of Yaakov is combining 2 opposites. Chesed and Gevura. Beauty, colors. That's what beauty is. The Ikar Teferes, the Rebbe says, is combining 2 opposite things. So in a higher sense, Yaakov said, okay, so I have to connect Tehu and Tikkun. I have to connect, like it says, which are also Beivhovchim, she is Chabo Yachad, and then will be ultimate Gilui of Ein Sof. Can you imagine if Yaakov Avinu combines Tehu and Tikkun? In order to combine 2 opposites, you have to tap into a level higher than both. So Yaakov Avinu says, wow, let's do this. Let's be miyached Tehu and Tikkun, and then we'll have a Gilui higher than Tehu. That's what he wanted to do. When Mashiach comes, Yaakov mission accomplished. But what do you think? Yaakov Avinu didn't know this? Like we learned by the Meraglim. You can't elevate, you can't become a tzaddik, but you have to try. So Yaakov Avinu tried, Yitzchak tried. Yitzchak tried to elevate Tehu, it didn't work. Not that Yitzchak wasn't great. It wasn't the time yet for it. That's it. You can't do it if it's not there. Yaakov tried.
How did Yitzchak try?
He wanted to bless Esav. Why did he want to bench? Do you think he didn't know who Esav was? He knew who Esav was. But he said, let's go reach the source of Esav and Tehu, and let's give him a bracha, be mamshch da kedusha. Rivka said, it ain't happening now.
But Yaakov overcome the Esav's
Malach of Esav. Yeah.
But still couldn't get...
It's still Mashiach didn't come.
The day that Rivka made the feast was Pesach, 15
Yeah.
of the sun.
Yeah.
The day that Adam Avinu made the Kubot for the Malachim, the day that Adam told Cain of heaven to bring Rivka was 15 of the sun.
It's machlekes in the Medrash, this in the Tishrei.
I didn't know there's such energy in such a day.
They learned to say this. Can you imagine if Avraham Avinu didn't learn Torah or? What did they do in yeshiva? They learned a little Gemara, okay. But they learned Torah or, Lukot HaSiches, Maimarim.
I didn't know there's such an energy.
They learned Chassidus. I didn't know the energy.